morning, McKenzie County, and welcome to the Living in McKenzie County podcast. We are filming today, and it is right after the 4th of July. I have the pleasure to have with me today representatives from the Watford City Police Department. And before we go around and do self-introductions, we're going to cover quite a few topics today. And again, as usual, we're long-form conversational content, so start us rolling and set us up on the counter and do your, prep your kitchen meal, putz around in the garage and just enjoy the conversation. Our goal today is to get the community connected with the blue. And so we're going to spend some time visiting with the Watford City Police Department representatives, getting to know them a little better personally, and also covering the many programs that they support, sponsor, and of course, their ongoing mission always, which is to protect and to serve. So starting to my right, we're going to start with Officer Jensen. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Vawnita. Again, my name is Jeffrey Jensen. I'm originally from Wisconsin, Northwest Wisconsin, up by the Duluth Superior area. Been a police officer for over 12 years. Been here in Watford City for a little over 11 years. My wife, my kids live here. We've moved out here in 2014. And basically, we're living paycheck to paycheck in northern Wisconsin. And we moved out here and were able to become debt-free within a few years. So it's been an opportunity, a great opportunity for us to come out here and work with the police department since then. I've been able to, under the direction of Chief Wellen, been able to do a lot of different things in our agency and our community. I've been everything from a regular police officer to a sergeant. I was a school resource officer for a few years, and now I'm transitioned to a lot of the public relations side of the agency, as well as some commercial motor vehicle enforcement as well here in the agency. A little bit about myself. Like I said, my wife and 2 kids here. I've grown up here in Watford City, this amazing community, and it's been wonderful. Myself and my wife own 2 small businesses as well that support this community. So it's been one of those that it's a great community that we've been able to grow our family and be successful in. And so, it's a little bit about me, just the quick introduction of myself.
Perfect. Well, thanks for calling Watford City home, Officer Jensen. And we do appreciate those side hustles because the things that you and your wife do on the side are service businesses in our community that we always need. So thank you for everything you do. Real quickly, I know I know something you do in your spare time. You're part of the hockey program, but anything you do in your spare time that you want to shout out to any groups or organizations?
My heart, I grew up playing hockey in Northwest Wisconsin. We grew up, the organization I was part of, I was the first hockey team for our community. I grew up on an outdoor rink, so hockey has been a huge part of my life. I'm a referee. I'm a USA Hockey referee. I've refereed everywhere from mites, which are little 4 or 5-year-olds. I've done high school hockey in northern Minnesota. I've done college hockey out of Williston as well. So I've been able to referee. And then I've played. Unfortunately, high school knee injury. Had to hang up the goalie pads, unfortunately. But I do still coach occasionally. So I do want to give a shout out to the McKenzie County Hockey Club. They're one of the probably greater organizations in our community. They help so many kids and give more than just the game, teach the game of hockey. When we talk about sports in our youth, sports are only part of that. It's teaching these kids how to be good human beings, how to be good partners, players, sportsmanship. There's a lot to it. And the hockey club has done an amazing job over the last 10 years that I've been here with them. And really, he's growing so much, and they're under some great leadership right now. Proud to be part of them. So a big, huge shout out to the McKenzie County Hockey Association Hockey Club. Cool. They're a great organization in our community. Excellent. They really give back.
Well, thank you for giving back in all the ways you and your family do. So we appreciate it. Chief Wellen.
Yes.
Self-intros. Tell us about you.
All right. So I was born and raised in International Falls, Minnesota. About 35 miles from the town in kind of a rural area. Grew up there. Graduated high school from Indus High School with a class of roughly 16 people. From there, I enlisted in the military, in the infantry. Did that for about 3.5 years. And then once I came out of the military, I used my GI Bill to attend college, which I obtained a general AA and then an associate's in science of law enforcement from Hibbing Community College. And I actually am still attending college now to this date. I'm going for business administration currently. But I started out in Watford City around 2011. I was introduced to the community from a college classmate of mine who had started out here prior to my time. I had moved out in May of 2011 to start with the department in June of 2011. And, at that time, we were only a department of roughly 5 officers. We've continued to grow from there. But I started out as an officer with the department doing patrol, gradually moved through the ranks. So I was promoted early as a sergeant, had actually done some time as a chief of police for about a year and a half early in my career when the oil boom was just initiating. From there, I was started as the assistant chief in that role just because I wanted to grow and kind of develop from there. It was a lot to take on within my second year of law enforcement. And then in 2021, I again applied for chief of police with the retirement of the current chief, and I've been chief of police since 2021 until now. I guess my family, we've raised our family here as well. We purchased our home in 2013. I have 3 kids, which is 8, 6, and 3 are their ages now. And I'm married to my wife, Shannon Wellen. And I guess other than that, interests and hobbies are I'm an avid outdoorsman. We do a lot of hunting and fishing, especially with the kids. They're already involved. They've been involved since before they could walk. I mean, they're on a backpack, right on my back, pheasant hunting, going ice fishing, since they were in a crib. And also like a shout out to the activities. Our kids are involved in absolutely everything from wrestling to t-ball, gymnastics, swimming. I mean, anything that you can think of, they're involved in. So we really appreciate that, getting them, having these programs here in our community to get them started early. So.
And we will definitely get into some of the real highlights. The timing for having you here is for a reason. We want to make sure we highlight an event. But before we move into those things, can both of you maybe reflect on the opportunities that exist out here in law enforcement? But that goes across all probably workforce, areas. Can you imagine another community where you have the professional opportunities that you do, and your kids can grow up in a small town, but yet a small town with all of the opportunities that we have here, from hockey to, all of those things? You obviously both relocated here from, obviously didn't grow up in Western North Dakota, but talk a little bit about how, when the community hit your radar, what you saw as opportunities here.
Sure. Would you like me to start? Go ahead,
sure.
Jensen. Okay. All right. So I guess the opportunities have continued to expand in Watford City. Obviously, it was a very small town when I started here back in 2011, and everything's just exploded in growth. And that goes same for the programs for our children. As far as the department goes, there's been, my experience has been continual growth. If it was a different location, different time, you don't experience the rapid opportunities that we have out here in Western North Dakota. There's been consistent growth within the department, supervisory positions, specialty positions. We've grown from what was a department of 3 officers at one time. Like I mentioned, it was 5, I believe, when I started here. We didn't have the things that we do now, like community service officer, a K-9 program, school resource officers, supervisory. It was really just the chief and officers at that time. So there's been continual growth and opportunities to kind of grow into those positions as people come with our department and have developed themselves. Also with the community, there's numerous opportunities for the kids to be involved in the extracurricular activities. Our kids are involved in Kid Stop, which is great through the summer. They do a fantastic job of keeping them busy. They're always doing excursions to Fort Union or the ice caves, or, they're taking them to the swimming lessons, have them outdoors all the time. So
What the kids are like puppies. Tired kids are good kids. Tired puppies are good puppies. So Kids Stop is, get to see exposure, experience, exhausted. All good things for summer. So.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Kind of going off what Jesse said. I grew up in a small town in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. I'll give them a shout out. If you're listening from St. Croix, hello, class of 04 here. St. Croix is one of the larger towns in our county in northwest Wisconsin, but we weren't a very large county. We had a lot of drug-related issues. We're very much an agricultural community. We didn't have the opportunities growing up that our youth have today. And so being able to grow up in northwest Wisconsin, it was a great time, great community. I learned a lot in that community. But then I was working and looking to come out here. And like Jesse, I was brought out by another college friend. Went to school with him. He's currently a deputy. He's a sergeant with the sheriff's office. And so he brought me out here. He said, hey, come on out. Back in you came out here in 2011, he said? Yeah. 2011 to 2013, 2014, beginning of that boom, there was a lot of negativity in the media about Western North Dakota. There was nothing here. But the one thing that people didn't really look at was look at the long-term planning of the communities. I think the difference that Williston, especially in 2014, when I was looking at between Newtown, Dickinson, Williston, and Watford, right? I was kind of looking at them, trying to bring my family out here. Because there was, at that time, it was hard to get a cop job, to be a police officer in Wisconsin, because you had to have basically a master's. You had to have a bunch of part-time experience to be able to, and you had to know somebody. It was 300 to 400 people for 1 or 2 positions in an agency. So it was kind of hard for me to become a cop out there, not because of anything else, but then there was a lot of people competing for it. So when we were looking out here, we're looking at the differences between Watford and Williston and Dickinson, and the long-term growth and the planning of the city back then was not, we just want oil. We just don't want people to come in and pull the oil out of the ground and be done, right? Watford wanted to bring families in. They were so early on, they were trying to bring families, and they were focusing a lot on the family dynamic, not just the oil workers, but the families. And that was a huge draw for me. And that kind of made me kind of go, okay, Watford is where I kind of want to land and see where things go. I was like everybody else. I was on the 5-year plan coming out here. 5 years is now turned into 11, and I don't think I'm leaving. So, but what the difference is we've been able to see how the school district and the Parks and Rec division have been able to grow. And that's the huge thing that's really kept us here is my kids are in Kids Stop. My son plays hockey, he's played soccer, football. My daughter plays gymnastics. She's in gymnastics. She's trying to get into hockey. She's just into a lot of sports, right? Like most kids are. And what our Park and Rec division, our school district, the Rough Rider, they have went from nothing. I remember when the Rough Rider and the new high school was just nothing but a hill and a prairie dog town, and then they built that whole development. But I've been able to see that go from nothing to what it is now, to endless opportunities. You're looking at T-ball programs with 200 to 300 kids.
And soccer's just got huge, right? But let's talk about all of our sports. Your kids are in wrestling, T-ball. Let's look at the hockey programs. Look at gymnastics. Look at all the sports that are coming into our community. We could even say the swimming group, right? We have so many different opportunities here than when I grew up. And that was a huge reason why I came back to Watford and I've stayed, is because our community has been focusing on families and growing families and keeping them here, building those roots. It's kind of like a tree, I think of, building that root for your family. And that's been a huge reason why I've kept, and why a lot of people that have been here a significant amount of time, why they will stay here, is because we have the big city type amenities. Sure, we don't have a Walmart. Yeah, we're getting a McDonald's, hopefully in a year or so. They're digging the hole for it. But we still have that small town feel
that to me is super important is how I want to raise my kids. Is I want that small town feel, small town attitudes, and how I was raised, while still having the opportunities of a big school, especially with the Bakken Area Skills Center happening, with everything that my son's going to be an 8th grader this year, Evan is. And so I know in a year and a half, he's going to be walking in that big high school. The opportunities that he has for when he leaves high school to be able to either go out on his own and do something or stay local. There's so many opportunities that he's going to be able to learn that I never had the opportunity. And that was huge for why I've stayed here in Watford City. And I think that's a really big thing. If you're looking to come to Watford, if you're looking to invest somewhere, McKenzie County and Watford City is the place to do it.
We didn't even pay you to say all those things. No, I appreciate it because it's been the core mission for a long time. And to be able to see that people recognize that and can benefit from that. The family-centric community of the Bakken, that's really been our goal.
And I think that's also been the goal of our agency. And I've been able to see that as an officer that's been able to do a lot of different things in our agency. Jesse talked on a lot of the different opportunities. When I came here in April of 2014, I was number 11 on the roster. We're authorized, 20...
We're at 25 right now.
We're at 25, but we're authorized a little bit more than that. We have, so that's a huge growth, and the opportunities we have as an agency to grow as well, even in the future. We're kind of sitting here, kind of at the same spot we've been for the last couple of years for numbers, but the opportunity to grow and to have, supervisor or specialty type training in the law enforcement realm is just astronomical. We literally could do anything we want out here in the West, being the epicenter of the oil boom. We want it here. Let's bring it. Let's do it. And then we have the support. The biggest thing is we have the support from the community for everything we do.
And before we get into some of your programs, I just kind of want to rewind back into that history piece. Number 11 and number 5 on the roster.
Yep, 5 or 6.
5 or 6. We moved, I grew up here. We moved back in 2007. And I would say things really started to pick up 9, 10, specifically 10 and 11. But I remember making a couple calls for service, and we're out in the county. So McKenzie County Sheriff's Department, thank you guys for all you do as well. But I remember making those calls for service, and there were a few scary incidences out in our neck of the woods. And the response was, we don't have people to respond. You're on your own, figure it out. So we had kind of a hurdle to overcome as a region and as a community that between the media and real life experiences of residents, we don't feel safe right now. And so there was investment from the state level to get funds back to the areas, but to invest in public safety. So thank you guys for taking that call of service
absolutely
at a time when the community definitely needed it.
And I think that extended far into after even I got here in 14. You look into, I don't want to say it's called a bust, but kind of the lull of the oil back in 2016. It was really when we were able as an agency to really start catching up, right? When I came here in 2014, I was working night shift on field training. My first 3 months here was during the summer. And I would be going call to call to call from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on night shift, and then go home and do it all over the next day. It was one of those that sometimes if you were outside the city and you were calling for help, it might take you a minute. There's, deputies have told me over the years that, they'd be in East Fairview and have to go to Newtown on a call for service. And it'd be a 45-minute lights and sirens drive for them doing as fast as they could. So yeah, sometimes even in the city, sometimes the response wasn't as quick as we would like to see because we were just so spread out. We were so busy on different calls that there would be times where we'd have 2 or 3 calls pending that were serious that we were trying to get people to. But yeah, I think that's changed a lot. I think our response times have gotten a lot better. We're a lot more staffed. And even on our busy days, we can pretty much take every call right as they come out and get somebody there as soon as possible. So there's a huge difference from what the media had put out. And when you came back in 2011, when I got here in 14, it's a completely different Western North Dakota than it was 10 years ago. And that's been a huge change for us.
And we actually hear that from people. Like, we interview people when they when they locate here, and they're coming from other places in the country, and they are very quick to comment on how safe they feel, how responsive they feel the agencies are here. And so that really has been a recruiting tool for us as well. It's safe, it's well policed, well managed community that they feel safe, and they can send their kids out on their bikes and ride, the sidewalks. And,
absolutely.
And
they should.
Yep, definitely. So, hey, but let's get into why we're here today. And
yes, absolutely.
So there's an event coming up, and I did jot down the date. I'll let you guys take a shot at it if it's burned in your brains yet. But let's talk a little bit about National Night Out. And Jensen, that's something I think you've led the charge on for quite some time. So let's talk about that event specifically, and then let's kind of roll into the community policing program as a larger effort as well.
Absolutely. So this is year 9. For a program that we've had for the last 9 years called National Night Out. I wasn't the one that originally started it. Another officer we had at the time did. I was tasked to take it over, and it's kind of been my baby since. It's one of my things that I'm kind of well known for in the community, is hosting our National Night Out. National Night Out nationwide is a program first Tuesday in August of every year, all over the country. Law enforcement is able to help bridge that gap. So in other communities, there's a pretty large gap between law enforcement and the community members. Like, there's a disconnect, right? National Night Out is able to try to bring those two groups together, the community members and law enforcement, to really bridge that gap of like, hey, we're human beings too. We may wear this and may have a badge and carry a gun and drive a fast vehicle, but we're also fathers. We're also mothers. We're brothers, sisters, cousins, nieces, nephews, grandparents. We're all human beings here, and we're part of this community as well. So National Night Out is basically a free barbecue. Nationwide, Bismarck, Williston, Dickinson, Killdeer has it, Newtown has it, Tioga's got one. It's all over the state, all over the nation. Communities and their law enforcement agencies get together, have a big barbecue, and kind of interact with the community, get to build that bridge with them. I think we started it as just like law enforcement and our local fire guys, because our fire department, those volunteer firefighters are some of the best people in our community. They don't get paid for it, and they dedicate so much time. So we brought them in because they're part of this emergency family that we have, right? And it started our first year 9 years ago. I think we had maybe 100 people show up. We used my own personal barbecue, and our chief at the time, Art Walgren, he was the one cooking in the tourist park. I think we had 2 or 3 squad cars, a fire truck, and an ambulance. And, I think we somehow scrounged up some hot dogs and some free food and drinks, because it was kind of a last minute, like, how do we do this? But sure, let's put it on. Over the years, it has really grown. Last year, so we started with 150 people. Last year, we estimated about 800 people showed up.
800.
About 800. Last couple of years, we've been averaging right about 800 people show up to it.
And how do you judge the count? Just so they know.
So we judge count kind of by our food. So we average about 1 hot dog or brat per person, and then so we have a count on food, and then we also have we kind of take guesses on how much free stuff people have given out at the different booths. But the one thing that really has brought us and really set us apart from other community National Night Outs, I think, is how we've invested other agencies into this. Originally, it was law enforcement, fire, EMS. Hey, let's bring in game and fish. Let's bring the game warden in, right? Hey, troopers are here. Let's bring the troopers in, right? How about Theodore Roosevelt? How about Forest Service? Smokey the Bear shows up every year. Forest Service is with us, right? We've also now in the last couple of years have brought in the community resources. We started to see initially back in like 2016-ish, right when the oil started to slow down, right? People were needing help. People were asking like, hey, I need a food box. Where do I go to get food? I'm in between jobs. How about rent assistance? How about I need some help with WIC or filing Medicaid, Medicare paperwork, right? Hey, let's bring in social services. Let's bring in the adoption ladies up at social services were in need of adoption families or foster families. Let's bring them in. So we started bringing in social services, the foster care program, to provide resources to these families. We've brought in Veterans Affairs. We've brought in the American Legion. Last year we had Providence House. Providence House came out and volunteered. So what we're trying to do every year is to add more of these community resources this year and years past to really provide this to our public. It's really important that it's not only just about us as law enforcement, but it's about bringing those assets that we work with that maybe not everybody has to the community members, like in a setting like this. So National Night Out, August 5th, 2025. It's going to be at the McKenzie County Ag Expo this year. Usually we are down at Tent Pelton Park, down by the tourist park, or down by the fishing pond, kitty corner across from OK Tire. But, we kind of got pushed out this year,
For a good reason.
For a good reason.
Yeah,
and I will say it's Robin and his crew do a great job keeping our parks together. But they have been going on like a year and a half now or so on this new all-inclusive park, playground park, which has been going to be a great addition to the Kent Pelton Park itself. But unfortunately, that construction starts here within a week or so of us filming this. So, and that's going to take them a little bit. So they kind of like, hey, you could do this here, but you're going to have a bunch of construction. It's probably not the best. Can you find somewhere else for a year? And so Kylie and Chris up at the Egg Expo were gracious enough to host us this year up in the big indoor arena. So this year from 4 to 8 p.m., we're going to have all local law enforcement. That includes us. We're partnering with the McKenzie County Sheriff's Office. I want to make sure we give them a huge shout out. The Sheriff's Office has been a huge partner with us since we started 9 years ago. They have been there in planning, in actually making it happen. They're a huge partner for us here. So we'll have ourselves, Sheriff's Office. We're going to have Highway Patrol. We're going to have North Dakota Game and Fish. We're going to have, I got a whole spreadsheet of people. We're going to have Theodore Roosevelt National Park Rangers. We're going to have the Forest Service. We're going to have Watford Fire, Arnegard Fire, Keene Fire, Grassy Butte Fire is going to show up. We're going to have McKenzie County Ambulance Service. We're going to have our local towing companies that have been involved. The McKenzie County Road and Bridge Department, they're talking about bringing some equipment in to show kids through some of their heavy equipment. The city of Watford is going to bring some of their public works equipment down as well. Trying to think who else. We've got a whole ton of people.
Victims advocacy.
Yep, our victim advocacy, our domestic violence advocate, their program, crisis shelter. We're going to have AT&T FirstNet. We're hoping to get Providence House. We're hoping to get all these different types of community assets together there. We're going to give out free food. Food has been donated. Thank you to Cashwise, Pepsi, Coke, Frito-Lay, all the vendors there at Cashwise. They do a great job every year. They all donate all of our food.
Very cool.
All that food. Yeah.
For 800 people.
800
Yes.
between
Excellent.
burgers, brats, hot dogs. I just finalized the food. So it's burgers, brats, hot dogs. We got chips, beans, potato salad, drinks, and chips. All provided by Cashwise and their vendors. Slezak Catering, Barbecue and Bakery up out kind of on the east side of town. Slezak, Mark and Colette, they have been huge for us over the years.
Yeah, how many years have they been cooking?
Oh man, they've been cooking I think this is their 5th year cooking for us. They donate, Mark and Colette donate their time for cooking all the food. So in years past, it would take all of us on an agency to do the setup, to do the teardown, but then we also have to do the food prep, the food set out, cooking, make sure we do it. We're human beings, so we know how to keep things clean and how to cook clean, right? But Mark and Colette came in and said, Colette's like, hey, can we do this for you? Like, we as a company want to give back to the community as well. So let us do it. We have all the tools. We have all the cooking stuff. We have all the pans. We have all the ice trays. We'll prep the food ahead of time so you don't have to. We'll literally show up with our smoker, cook the food right there. We'll have it all set out. And it's been awesome. Those guys, Mark and Colette up there at Slezak Bakery and Barbecue, I'm probably saying their name. It's Slezak Barbecue, whatever it is. The Mark and Colette, they got great food, but they've been gracious enough to cook for us. And we never have to worry about bringing somebody's personal barbecue in. And
for 800 people.
For 800 people. No, yeah, I don't know how. If we didn't have Mark and Colette or somebody like that, I don't know. I don't think we'd be able to have an event like this to be able to provide that free food to bring them in.
Well, I think you need to also, mention the sponsors' monetary donations that we received to kind of do this too.
Absolutely. That's the next part I was getting to, is a huge shout out to the American Legion here in Watford City. They have been for 5, 6, basically I think since we started, they've pretty much set in their budget every year. Whatever the police department needs for National Night Out, we'll just write the check. I got the call from Lance this morning. Hey, your check's here, Lance. And the American Legion group, they donated another $1,000 this year. And then the Watford City Eagles Club of the Aries group, the men's group there, they donated $1,000 as well to us this year. So we're going to be able to use that to help pay for some of the food that isn't donated, some of the miscellaneous items, and then we're going to be giving away some door prizes, some raffle prizes throughout the night as well to those that come in. And last year we had Theodore Roosevelt gave us some tickets. We bought 2 tickets and they donated 2 tickets to the Pitchfork Steak Fondue or Medora musical, and then to the musical themselves. So they were gracious enough last year to do that for us. We've given away bikes, hoverboards, scooters, you name it. We've given it kind of away because a lot of this is really meant for the kids and the families, right? And so that's why we are doing what we do, is because we want to give back to the community. And this is one way we really kind of give back as an agency. And it's kind of been something I think we as an agency have been known for over the last 9 years, is like, hey, they're doing their National Night Out thing again. That's awesome. Let's go out and have dinner on the cops and go visit and tour their vehicles and get some free food. It's usually a nice day out. Sometimes it's hot, but
you're going to be indoors at the expo. Yes. So AC, man.
Yeah.
AC.
And if there's rain, at least it's covered.
Right? At least it's covered. So we're going to be inside. So that's going to be a great event. Again, it's August 5th, 2025 here. It's the first Tuesday in August from 4 to 8 p.m. It is free. And the one thing a lot of people are like, where do I donate? We get this question every year. Hey, where do I donate? Where do I pay for this? You don't. We don't want you to pay for this. We want this to be free for you to be able to come in, enjoy yourself, have a night of relaxation, let the kids run around, have some fun, meet those that are working to protect you every day, whether it be law enforcement, fire, EMS, Forest Service, all of our first responders who work hard every single day in this community, and give back. We want you to meet them. We want you to know that they're human beings too,
It's been a couple years, but I remember when my son was younger. He was probably 6, 7-ish, and he got the opportunity to step into the helicopter, the medical transport, and also in the ambulance. And the thing that I thought was really interesting about that is they get an opportunity to kind of see these things in the event you're ever actually in the middle of needing that service. You've had an opportunity to meet the driver and meet the, first responder and just connect, meet, have a little feel for all that goes into a response effort. And if you ever do need it in emergency crisis, there's a little comfort in having that opportunity to meet those folks and see those response pieces of equipment. So,
and it kind of go off like with the fire department for years growing up. It's always like, hey, why did the firefighters come to their schools? Why do they put on their uniform with their turnout gear, their helmet, their mask, their SCBAs, right? It's because in those worst moments, because a lot of us first responders, people only call us when it's the worst part of their life. They're having the worst day ever when they call 911. We want them to know that when we show up, or a firefighter or an ambulance person, or God forbid, we have to bring in a helicopter to take somebody that's hurt out, right? We want them to go, I know I may not know that person, but that's a firefighter, that's a police officer, that's a paramedic. I know I can I can run to them instead of running away from them. And that's huge. And that's a lot of what we try to do is building that community connection. So when our youth are having their worst day, or our community members, not only our youth, but our community members are having the worst day in their life, we want them to come to us instead of running away from us. So, and this is how we build that connection. And so that's really important to us.
Very cool. So free food, prepared, no dishes to wash, climate protected this year. And before we start talking about some of the other community policing efforts, I do want to just go back. You mentioned it, but I think our community doesn't always realize the level of commitment that our volunteer fire departments have to our community. And just briefly, I wrote down 4 names because they were recently recognized for, I think combined, the 4 of them, over 100 years of volunteer service to our community. Steve Sanford, Jeff Gronis, Jimmy Johnsrud, and Oscar Knutson. And maybe what really dovetailed on the importance of reminding the community of those volunteers is there was a poll out on Facebook, and I should ignore it, but it was something about should we require calls for service response time? And I think I just really wanted to take this opportunity during this podcast, and you hit on it, Jensen, but to remind everybody, our fire protection is served by volunteers who, when they get called out for service, whether it's a 4th of July dumpster fire at Emerald Ridge or anything else in between, they're volunteering their time and they are leaving their families and their time with their families to go and respond and serve our community and our families. So,
absolutely. And those 4, I know Jesse and I, over the years, I've been honored to be able to get to know all 4 of those gentlemen. And I've worked fire calls with them, every single one of them, and fire, ambulance calls, you name it. Over the years, I've been able to work with those. Those are some of the more knowledgeable and experienced people that it was well-deserved for their recognition because of the dedication they give to their community. And not even just those 4. I think every fire department. You talk to Wade Sidnallness and his crew over in Keene. You talk to Rick over in Arnegar. I know you've had Rick on before. You talk to Dave Ulick here, and his crew. Those 4 are only 4 people of hundreds that really know their job and are dedicated to the community and do so much for them. We're only law enforcement. We don't put out fires. We do I would say, but we don't put out actual fires. Physical
yeah.
fires. That's them. They have all the fire gear. Those guys, and then we can't forget about the other group, the ambulance service. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We can't forget about Jim Johnsrud and Vawnita running that ambulance service for years, and now Tana taking over, and the dedicated volunteers at the McKenzie County Ambulance Service. You want to talk about a group of mostly gals, some guys, mostly gals, that in a pinch, when you are needing somebody, you got somebody that's really badly injured in front of you. When I hear those ambulances check on or come en route, I know that things are going to be okay because I can hear the voices on the radio and I know who's coming, and I'm going, okay, we're good. We're going to take care of this. This is all going to be good because those ladies, as well as the fire guys, we're going to have help. They're going to dedicate their time away from their family to be able to respond out to someone when they're having the worst day of their life. So I want to give them some recognition as well. We work closely with all the fire and EMS agencies in our county. I think that's another community thing we have pushed as an agency is to build those bridges with our fire guys, with our ambulance crew, whether it be training, whether it be just hanging out at annual meetings or community events. Going out and actually just saying hi and building that connection is super important of what we do as an agency, and them as well as an agency. So, and
probably one more level of recognition, the volunteers themselves, but the employers that allow those volunteers to serve. I'm always so incredibly thankful and impressed by those employers that say, you get your pager goes off, you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was going to mention another thing about the volunteers there, and you kind of hit on part of it is that they're not only volunteers, they have full-time positions that they are responsible for. And the other thing is that at least 2 of those names on that list also serve our community in other ways. Mr. Granos is part of the JPA, JDA boards, and Mr. Steve Sanford is our representative on city council. So outside of serving in the fire role or EMS role, they have other ways of giving back to the community and involvement in our community as well.
Yes. Have you heard the acronym STP?
I'm not sure I have.
Same 10 people.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
And even like Oscar, you take for, I'm going to give Oscar a shout out here. He's in that age where he's been retired from the Forest Service, right? But now he's teaching and he's giving back. He may not be working every car crash or every fire that we have, right? He still answers the page, still goes to the hall, but he's spending a lot of his time teaching the younger groups and the younger fire guys, Forest Service guys. And I got to have a chance to talk to him the other day at length. And the amount of teaching he's doing and really like helping develop those younger fire guys and gals. I got to say gals because there are fire gals out there that do great work. But he's been able to start teaching. And I think that's one thing that we bring into our community is we have some people with a lot of experience that we can start teaching some of these newer members on how to not only be part of like a fire agency or another community, but we can teach them too here locally instead of sending them to Fargo or to Billings or to Rapid City for those types of training. We can start teaching that stuff here, and that's important.
Mentorship, succession planning.
Absolutely.
The community's in good hands, but the community should not ever forget
yes
those good deeds and those volunteer hours.
I see it as it comes back to how our community has been able to be family focused. That's again, come back to the why I came out to Watford City 11 years ago. It's been family focused. And that's what I love about Watford. And I think we can all say that. It's very family focused.
Yep. So the next thing I have on my list that I don't want to forget about, because we want to take the time, you have the Watford City Police Department has a foundation.
Yes.
And I have the opportunity of kind of, the person who works for our ranch, her husband is on your department and is very active in the Blue Santas as well. But can you talk about that program and the people you serve through that program and through the generosity and the work of your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I can't remember the exact year, but it's been in operation for several years. And how it started was a member of the police department had this idea to create a police foundation outside of our organization, which is made of volunteers in our law enforcement community. And what that looks like basically is we do receive monetary donations and we create fundraising efforts to come up with funds to give back to our community. And that looks like a variety of different ways. One, which we're most well known for, is the Blue Santa program. It's similar to a Giving Tree where we receive nominations from community members of individuals inside of our community that maybe needed additional assistance over the holidays for gifts or even, necessities, whichever they choose. They kind of provide us a list. We come up with like a monetary amount that we can give per family. And we go ahead and go out and purchase these gifts or necessities for them over the holiday season and give those to the community. Our foundation is generally consists of about 10 to 15 active members right now. And like I mentioned, these are volunteers that we pay dues to be a member of this. And we also use that money from dues to contribute to these programs as well. And like I mentioned, the Blue Santa program is one which we're most well known for, but we've done other things where we've had somebody in need and we've had requests to maybe assist them in some way, whether it may be through rent assistance or other
vehicle
means.
repairs.
Vehicle repairs is another good example where
Those are more dire, very specific type. But our scholarships.
Yep,
We've been doing scholarships now for 5-6 years.
Yep, and that's increased too, and maybe a lot of people aren't aware of that as well. Is initially we started at 500, and I believe we're up to 1,000 now. But we offer scholarships every year to graduates in McKenzie County that are pursuing a career path of a first responder nature, whether that be medical, law enforcement, fire, nursing, etc. That's something we'd like to spread the word out about more as well. We don't generally get a lot of applicants through that. We try to give out a couple every year, and that's kind of increasing as well. As the more sponsorship we receive behind this, the more we can give back. I'm trying to think of other involvement that we have as foundation.
We do a lot of giving back. So we've given back to post-proms, post-graduations, from Mandaree to Johnson's Corner to Alexander, Watford City School District here. We've even given to East Fairview. We support the DARE programs. Our foundation gives to our SRO program here at the police department, and then the sheriff's office also has a DARE program where they teach the DARE curriculum to their students. And so we've been able to give money to the DARE programs for their curriculum, for their graduation ceremonies, graduation prizes.
Guest speakers.
We do a lot of if the foundation's primary role is to give back to youth, right? And so everything we do is youth-based, whether it be the scholarships, whether it be giving. We just donated this year to the school for a speaker for impaired driving, distracted driving, right before prom. They had a guest speaker come in. We paid for that guest speaker. Why? Not because we wanted our name out there, but because it was youth-oriented. It was for the betterment of the youth. And that's what we do. We've bought one of our first years, we bought graphing calculators for Johnson's Corner. Their kids said, hey, we're in need of brand new graphing calculators for everybody here. Our old ones are just kind of getting bad. Will you guys buy us the 10 or 15, whatever this graphing calculators they need? We're like, absolutely. Here you go. And they were just amazed. Really? I'm like, yeah, this is for the youth. We're family members. We're parents. We get it. Organizations need help. And so giving back to all these different youth groups is how our police foundation really is another way we give back to the community and how we build that relationship.
So if there's somebody out there listening, and whether they're associated with the schools or, they're going into their senior year of high school,
absolutely,
where do they find the information on the foundation programs, from the scholarship application to who to contact about potential projects?
Generally, they've been distributed by the schools with other grants that are available or scholarships available. It's out there with their guidance counselors and their school administration. They have that information, so it should be readily available as they're applying for any scholarships through the school, because there's additional ones as well on that night. I also just wanted to mention, I think one thing that we didn't cover on is we've also, as a foundation, assisted with food baskets.
Yep.
We've kind of arranged that for those in need that are needing those items. And, Jack and Jill has always done that.
Jack and Jill has been a huge support for us.
Are those specific to Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Yeah, those are specific to our Blue Santa programs. If we ask our families, hey, how are you doing for food? To kind of piggyback what Jesse said, our foundation is meant, and our Blue Santa program is meant not to be like a crutch for families. We don't want the families to come back every single year for 10 years in a row, hey, give us gifts. What we wanted to build this foundation up to help the community members get back on their feet and get families back on their feet. A lot of us came out here, at least like me, I came out here, I was $50,000 in debt from my school loans. I made more in 6 months working for first 6 months here than I ever did working in Wisconsin. So we're helping our community members get back on their feet, right? And so that's why it's so big. We are still, though, small. As an organization, we're still a smaller organization. So we don't have like a website. So a lot of our stuff we put out is through our social media on Facebook. That's how we kind of communicate.
Does the foundation have its own page?
Yep.
Okay.
We have Watford City Police Foundation. You look us up on Facebook, and we have our own page. We kind of piggyback off a little bit with the police department, but we have to still make sure we're separate because we are a separate organization from the city of Watford and the city of Watford Police Department. So we're still a separate organization, ran off on our own volunteer time. We raise our own money. So, I think last year we raised overall from private donations and grants from companies. I want to say we were right at about $35,000 we raised. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get into kind of the Blue Santa program. I know that was one thing we wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. And Jesse did a really good job kind of playing. We raised money mostly for that program. Mm-hmm. Last year alone, we helped 35 families. Means it includes 88 children, right? We spent about $25,000 just on Christmas gifts for kids. And so when kids woke up, mom and dad didn't have to worry about, am I paying the electrical bill? Am I paying a grocery bill? Or am I fixing my car? Or am I buying Christmas gifts for my kids, right? We want to be that support to buy the kids the Christmas gifts they need, whether it be clothes, RC cars. We've bought in a lot of different things over the years. We buy those gifts so they have it. Come Christmas morning, they have gifts. Mom and dad can sit back and take a big deep breath and relax. Okay, I didn't have to spend $200-$300 on Christmas gifts. Now that money can help me get on my feet. Hey, that pays a bill. Maybe that's the step they need to get back on their feet, and they may give back, So, and that is just the Christmas gifts. I think we spent about another $10,000 or so in Watford City Bucks. Mm-hmm. Watford City Bucks can be spent on any business. Most businesses here in the downtown district of Watford. And each family gets a set amount depending on how many times they've been nominated to our organization and how many kids they have. And they're able to use that money, whether it be at Cashwise, whether it be at Circle K, Cenex, whether they need to, Jack and Jill's is another one. Maybe Barrett's, maybe they got to get I know families that have used it to buy prescriptions. They can use it at Barrett's, Larson's, all the downtown businesses. They're able to use those Watford City Bucks as well. So not only are they getting the gift of presents for their kids, they're able to get Watford City Bucks to spend back here locally in our community. But then, like I said, if they're in need of food boxes, we work closely with the food shelf here in Watford City, and we kind of have a direct line with them. Like if we run into a family in need on a Tuesday night, hey, I got a family that literally is eating bread until next Monday. Can we get them a box? They're like, see you at the church in 10 minutes. And we get them a box. So we've done that in the past where we've been able to get boxes, deliver a box of food with the Christmas gifts, with the Watford City Bucks, and the smiles and the hugs and the tears. It kind of makes me kind of emotional because I grew up from a very poor family. I grew up in a family where we had WIC and we had to go to the food pantry growing up. And so it was tough growing up very poor and seeing myself being a very successful person now and knowing how much that means. Being a kid in that situation and now being able to give back, it reminds me a lot about myself.
The spark and the step up. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the ways we raise funds every year is through our grocery bagging. So the week of Thanksgiving and the week before, the Police Foundation, we do go out and bag groceries at Cashwise. We've partnered with Cashwise. Anita down there is great. That is one of our bigger fundraisers. We earn a lot of money to give back during those 4 or 5 days that our members are there for 2 or 3 hours. Those nights, bagging groceries, connecting with the community, right? We're all coming back to connect. One of the first years we did that, I had a gentleman, I was working a lane, and I bagged his groceries. He was like, "What are you doing?" I kind of explained the foundation real quick, because as I'm like bagging the one side, I'm talking to him, finishing his and loading his cart. And he's like, "Holy cow, thank you for all you do." And I just thought, that's a normal interaction, right? Well, I see him out of the corner of my eye. He's over at the ATM by the exit. I'm like, whatever, no big deal. I was just going about. It was a busy night of bagging groceries, right? He walked over to me afterwards, and he dropped $300 bills into my bucket in the lane. He looked at me and said, "Thank you." And I'm like, "For what?" He's like, "I was that kid. Growing up, my family was living on food stamps, living in the dump. And I was one of those kids that was able to do a shop with a cop back down south where he grew up." And he's like, "Now I'm able to do that because of what they did." And he gave me a hug and he thanked me, because he's like, "That changed my life." And so what we do, we don't always know it, but we are changing lives. We're making those connections. We're getting people to kind of get back on their feet. And to them, that's all they want to do. They want to provide. And so that's why it's really important to me that this foundation continues and we work well and give back to these communities, because we are changing lives. And it wasn't about how much he put in my bucket. It was that connection with that community member. It was saying, "Hey, what you're doing, Jeff, and what the Police Foundation is doing is going to make a difference. And it is going to change lives. Not only, you may not see it. I'll never see it. But if us taking our time away from my kids and my family to do this and volunteer means another family is going to get on their feet and be successful, to me, like, that makes me all happy inside. I really enjoy that. And I enjoy giving back to our community. I think that's a really big thing that we've been able to do over the years, is really build that connection and change lives. And that's important.
And really through the work of the foundation, I mean, I really feel like that drives the culture of the PD and the focus on community service. Can we talk a little more about maybe some of the programs we haven't talked about yet? And I'll pull out a specific example of just observing something. So we were driving down the street one day, and I look over to the Balkan Park, and there's a basketball court on the Balkan Park, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 cop cars. And so in my mind, because I didn't grow up in the era of community policing, I'm like, some kid's getting shaken down for drug dealing or something. And then I spend a little time and I'm like, no, the cops are playing basketball with a group of youth who were on the basketball court. So talk a little bit about your community policing program, and then that will probably roll into the SRO program as well.
Sure. Okay. So as far as a program, we do have community service officers, which are really geared towards different sets of calls within the community, but each individual officer really takes it upon themselves as far as how engaged they choose to be. We definitely encourage our participation in different events within the community. We get a lot of requests for, a good example is with Home Fest coming up, Art in the Park, can you send somebody over here to, with a car so kids can go through it, look at all the gadgets, or can you come up with a kind of a game to contribute to that? And so we try our very best to meet any requests that we get, even if it's just showing up to a kid's birthday party. Like, hey, my son is having a birthday party. They really have this fascination with law enforcement. Would it be possible for somebody to stop by, let them check out the car, the equipment? We have a lot of different ways which we like to try to be engaged within the community. Anything from, community events, special events, having a presence down there, just being able to associate with our community members and have a conversation, whether it's like the food truck rodeo or just a community rodeo or event or whatever is going on. We really encourage our officers to stop by these things just to engage and interact with everybody involved. We have numerous different programs, like you kind of mentioned, getting involved with SROs, whether it be DARE or a bike rodeo that we put on to try to be engaged and encourage participation in safe biking. And also there's, an educational aspect to these programs as well. But just really, really getting out there and showing our presence. I make it a priority as if I'm driving around and I see, a kid with a lemonade stand. You may not really want a glass of lemonade, but it's like the whole point of stopping and being engaged and meeting those kids. And it really means a lot. And we have a huge impact on the younger generation coming up and being able to engage them now and develop those relationships to show a friendly face. And so next time, maybe there is something and they say like, I feel more comfortable, like we've already discussed with this officer, because I've got to meet them before I've got to have a conversation in a friendly atmosphere where now maybe the situation isn't the best and they feel more comfortable. But we do a lot. I mean, we still do funeral escorts in our community. That's a service that we provide, free of charge. We try to meet those accommodations. We do a lot of parades and any kind of special events on Main Street, whether it be arranging, Officer Jensen does a great job arranging the traffic plans for special events. When we have to shut down roadways for maybe, Home Fest, Rib Fest, whether we just had something with the Catholic Church not too long ago, coordinating their walk that they're doing. But just going out there and being engaged with our community, stopping through businesses. We do a lot of business checks, just interacting or, making sure businesses are locked up and notifying the owners that, hey, your door's unlocked, just so you know. I'm trying to think of, maybe some other engagements that we do within the community.
And I think Chief Wellen really got to a lot of the things we do, but a lot of the things that he didn't mention that he's not going to give himself credit for, even when he was an assistant chief, is he pushed that community involvement. He pushes our field training officers, the ones that are training our new employees, to really go out and learn how to connect with those community members, whether it be stopping at a lemonade stand, stopping at the park. It's a hot summer afternoon, right? It takes nothing but 5 minutes of your day to get out of your car, stretch your legs, and go walk around the children's park, or go by, if you're driving by Bulkin, or whether you're driving up in Hunter's Run and there's some kids out. Just even if there's kids out playing, just rolling your window down and saying hello and just visiting with them for 5 minutes or even 2 minutes. That is the type of connections that our agency has been really trying to build over the years, and we've done a really good job. And we push our newer officers to really start investing back into the community. Sure, it's a paycheck for us. A lot of people, it's a paycheck. You come here, you work your 84 hours, you go home. But there's more to this community and more to this job than just working your 84 hours every 2 weeks and going home. It's interacting. It's getting to know the community members. It's getting to know our other first responders. It's getting to know the business owners, the church pastors. So when it's 11 o'clock at night, and, we have an open door in a business, or somebody goes into it, or there's vandalism on a building, when they get a phone call and go, hey, it's so-and-so from the police department. Yep, what's up? What do you need? It's not a what's going on or what's wrong or why are you calling me, right? Or I don't want to talk to you. It's like, hey, what do you need? What's going on? It's like, hey, you got some vandalism here, or a door's open. What do you like us to lock it for you? And they'll go, absolutely. Or if we need it I remember this last summer, I was helping the sheriff's office looking for a person that went running from a vehicle. And we were just more trying to find them in a field. I called the landowner, and I knew the landowner. Landowner's like, you're good. Go through that gate. Just be careful of this hill and that coulee over there. You might get stuck. Other than that, you're good to go. Well, that was at midnight. He was fast asleep with his wife and kids at home. But he knew as soon as the police department called, he's like, yeah, what do you need, Jeff? Those are the type of connections that we want our officers to build. from the beginning when they get here. Sure, we've had a lot of officers come and go from our agency. Like a lot of companies have had a lot of people come and go. But we still invest that time to teach about the community and get them invested in the community because it's so important. So when we've been able to make that phone call, hey, like the Lutheran church, we had a guy that ran from a traffic stop into the Lutheran church a few years back. It was super simple. We called the pastor, hey, this is what's going on. He's like, sounds good. I'll be down and when I get dressed, but do what you need to do. Have fun. And he hung up and we did our job and took that individual to jail. But we let them know at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, hey, this is going on at the church. Just letting you know. And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely no problem. Do what you need to do. It's those connections that are super important for us to be able to do our job every day. And so that's really what Jesse and his leadership over the years, pushing that field training program through the top down. Hey, get out, connect with that community. And he's done a really good job over the years leading by example, being out there. So I do appreciate that with a chief that will go out and actually make those connections.
Yeah, thank you. I do think it is important, for our officers or anyone really outside of our positions to be actively engaged both on and off duty. It's like not just when you're in uniform, being paid to do your job. It's, you'll often see our members out at, fundraising events, whether it's a pancake breakfast for the baseball team or, maybe it's just a sports event or, anything from customer appreciation days. The other day, Big Boys Toys, and I know a number of officers were down there and, being involved outside of work also. And that one goes back to like with me in the hockey club and Jesse in sports and like that. It's just teaching that off-duty stuff. That is really the investment that a lot of our officers have done is invested themselves back in the community. And that's important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about the SRO program. And before we start, what I'll say is I have a soon-to-be junior, and he's had 3 SROs, and he has affectionately referred to each and every one and really appreciated that presence in the school. So Jensen, you're one of them.
I know your son, and I remember him when I was an SRO. I'm a little biased, because the chief and I work here. But being in the schools, I want to say we probably have one of the, again, biased on me. I love Whitney and Chantel at the sheriff's office. Whitney's a new one that just took over as a second SRO. I'm a little biased, though. I think we have a really great SRO program between Andy Schatz, Andy Swanson, and then Shannon Wellen. Now, I had a few years there. I was an SRO between Badlands Elementary and the middle school, but I really think we have a standout program. I think the connection that we have with our kids, and Jesse more in the technical details of our SRO program. But as a father, and as a police officer and SRO program, former SRO, I want to say we have probably one of the best SRO programs in Western North Dakota because of how we have been able to connect with our kids, the programs, and our schools.
So talk a little bit about, because I was on the county commission when the county started their program. Talk a little bit about the goals of the program and really, as a society, why we transitioned into seeing the need for these programs, for the SRO programs.
So it's another aspect of just the community involvement picture here. You develop those key relationships with our students at a young age, and it's kind of develops those core relationships and having that involvement in more than just an enforcement aspect. Our school resource officers do a fantastic job. They're in the classrooms helping instruct different blocks of instruction. DARE is a very well-known one that they do also, but they do much more than that. They're involved in maybe they're helping assist with bike safety, or they're specifically talking about a a topic that the school wishes to address, vaping or, safety concerns or anything like that. They're involved in their extracurriculars. They're out there, maybe just participating in Phi Ed where they're out there playing floor hockey with them. SRO Andy Schatz has been in it for the longest period of time. And we got to really give him huge credit for organizing the Cops versus Wolves games, which is a fundraiser for the school, and those funds are, given back to them to do what they choose with. But he's kind of organized that throughout the years and made that a successful event in the community. Through the summer months, they generally plan bike rodeo, bike safety events. But we try to really develop those relationships and also provide that sense of security within our school systems. Everybody knows that throughout the nation, there's been numerous horrific events that have happened, obviously. But here we try to really expand that and offer the sense of security with our SROs, in our schools. And, sometimes it's mentioned as like, well, do we really need this many SROs? Because we have 3 for our school district here in Watford City. And, realistically, it's like, what better way to develop these one-on-one relationships? I can't tell you how many times I see kids in the community coming up and giving one of our SROs a hug because they respect them so much, and the compliments that we've received from parents about having them there and having their presence and what kind of a role model that they've shown their child to be. And they have such a wide variety of areas to cover, anything from just the participation, block of instruction, offering that security, handling different matters, but they're also, following up with their students. Hey, if a student hasn't come to school in a bit, they're making sure, where's the student? Is something wrong, checking up on them, being able to go to the residents or, make those connections and assisting with that.
I think one of the biggest things that from a former SRO that is an advantage is that we, like Jesse said, you make those one-on-one connections with those kids and you become invested in their life. You may only see them during school hours and occasionally, in passing outside of school, right? But they come to you when it's their darkest day and they come to you when it's the best day of their life. You see there's highs and their lows, and you become invested. And I think that's the greatest thing we have about our SRO program. And, again, I'm biased, but being an SRO and going through the training and having a time and getting to meet SROs from all over the state and some of the country, right? The one thing I have learned is that all of our SROs are both mentally and physically and emotionally invested in every one of those kids. When I was an SRO, I thought of every one of those kids in each of those buildings, whether it be the high school, the middle school, the elementaries, the alternative school, every one of those kids were part of my family. And I treated them like a family member. Why? Because they looked up to us. And because we were there to support them and give them positive influence. Some of these kids don't have that. Kids come to school. A lot of our kids, I'll say a lot, there's a large portion of our kids who come to school and that's their safe place. That is their structure. That is their area where they can be themselves. They don't have to be hidden or worried about what mom or dad's going to do if they've been drinking or under the influence or something, or, something's happened bad at home. They had a bad history, whatever it may be, right? The school is their home. That's their structure. That's their safe place. And SROs, man, they truly invest their heart and their soul, their mind into each and every one of those kids. At least I did. And I know our 3 that we have right now do the same thing. There's been many times where I came home, my wife will tell you, I came home crying because it was just an emotionally draining day, because you'd see kids that you've watched them grow up. Being here 11 years, I've watched a lot of these kids that have graduated the last 3, 4, 5 years grow up from little kids to now, look at your son. I've been able to watch your son grow up over the years, and seeing how they've been able to change for the better. And maybe that influence that our SROs have might have changed that. I want to believe that the time that I was there, I had a positive influence and I changed lives, and made influence. And I've been out of the schools a few years now. I still have kids that come up to me and say, "Hey, Officer Jeff, remember this from this and remember that?" And, they still bring up those topics. So it's a thing that really it's a great part of law enforcement. I really loved it. But that's the one thing I've learned is that, especially our SROs, they've really taken it to heart to bring that connection to each and every one of those kids, those families. And it's a tireless job. It's a thankless job at times. But that SRO program is, I want to say, probably one of the best in the West here because our officers truly care. So.
Well, I know when Officer Barry left, there were a lot of kids that were very, very sad. There were a lot of kids that
were sad when I left too. So
yes.
It is just what it is, and
time marches on, and roles change. Okay, is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to cover?
Man, that's you always ask the broad questions.
I know. It's your canvas. Paint it.
I know, right?
I can't think of anything other than, a huge thing about this at the National Night Out that we talked about quite extensively was, really giving Officer Jensen here the recognition for organizing that for our community. I mean, he's done a fantastic job through the years, and I know he got to speak a lot about how it's changed from year one using our own equipment, having officers grill, and really getting away from that to where now having the ability for the officers to be involved with the event rather than cooking the whole time and serving. But, it's important to just, give that recognition because he plays a very vital role, even though there's other key players involved. I mean, he's the one that coordinates that event for our community each year in our department.
Well, and I know, Jensen, you wear quite a few hats. One, I'm going to give you a shout out because I actually really, really, really appreciate your social media content.
Oh, I was waiting for that to come on. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
There are some really good ones that make me laugh out loud when they pop up in my feed.
Yeah, that's one that when it comes to social media, I want to say that's my wife is all the time. She's like. She always comes to me after she's been out in the community by herself. She's like, so-and-so came up to me and was like, "Is your husband the guy on social media?" Or like, even today, I'll get, when I stop some truck drivers or stop people, they're like, "I think I know you. Are you the guy on Facebook?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm the guy." But it's been good.
Good. And truly, if people, we get these questions that just pop up on Watford City, what's up? If people want to know, what is the parade route? What are the road closures for the parade route? What is your Facebook handle?
We are just Watford City Police Department on Facebook.
Okay.
I don't have a specific, I have an agency one that I use to be able to manage the police department Facebook page. I don't have a specific Watford City Officer Jeff page. I base everything off of our agency because I talk for the agency.
Yep.
And I talk for us. One thing I noticed, a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of good criticism and constructive criticism, but I've got some bad criticism over the years about my Facebook Lives. And I want to say I've kind of been recognized through some members of the NDPIO organization and others around the community. And I want to say I kind of been the leader in the Western North Dakota about using video for it. Back when we had Snowmageddon, back in, that's been, what year was that? It was 21?
We had a couple, yeah.
Yeah, but Snowmageddon was really that one where we had that fatality. It was that time where it was how people wanted information. So one thing, like you said, is people and our community members just want to know what's happening outside their four walls. So that was why I started doing Facebook Lives. I was doing Facebook Lives before at National Night Out and some community events, just like, "Hey, come on down. We'll see you down here." But it really kind of blew up during the Snowmageddon a few years back.
Well, you can see it when you're doing it live. It allows those viewers to be able to see it firsthand without being there. That way they can. Yep. if they're somewhere else and there's 16 inches of snow, you can be like, yeah, look at our roads. Maybe you shouldn't be making that trip here right now, or leaving,
or stay home, or hey, this is what I want. Back in Stillmageddon, and really how I've taken it and really pushed it out is, back in Stillmageddon, everybody was stuck in their home. We had 2.5 feet of snow. Literally, the whole western North Dakota was shut down. Most of North Dakota was, but western North Dakota, there was people stuck on oil well sites, gas plants, in their home, at businesses. I ended up sleeping at the police department in my office, right? But people wanted to know what was going on outside their four walls. And so I was thinking about this. I'm like, how do we get this information other than just a text, Facebook post and a picture of downtown? How do we get people to visually see, like, hey, you should stay home, or hey, this is what's going on, right? The first one came to mind. Most of our community uses Facebook. We're not a community that uses a whole lot of Instagram or X or any type of a lot of our community members are Facebook users. And so how have we been able to connect? We've been able to connect through our Facebook page. Call me old school, call me crazy, however you may think of it. That's a great way for us to be able, over the years, to communicate. And those Facebook Lives have been great because we've been able to get a lot of information out quickly while also intaking information as well. So during Snowmageddon, I used it a lot. If you go back through, and I was on there for quite a while because people just wanted to know, right? And by the time you get people logged in and see the notifications, you were on there 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But I was asking people, hey, where are you at? Let's read the comments. We were seeing people stuck from Beulah to Hazen to Dickinson. A lot of people around here were posting like, hey, power's out here. Power just came back on. Hey, who do I call if I need something? It's kind of having that impromptu community discussion, community town hall meeting, right? Can sometimes be on those Facebook Lives. Why? Is because we're taking in information at the same time we're giving information. And I think that's really important. Is we can only do so much as a small agency. We have to have the help and support from the community as well. And so that's been part of this whole thing about community first and building that connection with the community are those Facebook Lives. And they have really taken off over the years. Whether it be from the Snowmageddon, snowstorms, weather reports. I get asked all the time, hey, when are you doing that? It snowed yesterday. Why didn't you do a snow report? Like, we got a dusting of snow yesterday. I think we're good. I don't want to do too many of them, but at the same time, our community is looking for them. Our community is striving for that, or they're out like trying to grasp that information. They want to know what's happening elsewhere. So that's how we as an agency reach out to our community, whether it be the snow reports, whether it be, we had a video that I took of that 1 million pound load, oversized load, that super load that came through. It came from the Duluth, Minnesota port off Lake Superior, kind of went through Minnesota, North Dakota, down into South Dakota, and was heading up into Canada. Big, huge load. Had like 25 or 30 axles. It was literally, the load was 1 million pounds. But that 30-second clip has almost 1 million views. It was shared in news organizations all over the world, coming through the South Y at the South Light. Mm-hmm. Literally, it was a 30-second video of them driving by because we stopped, helped with traffic control. It's those connections that we really have been able to make, have built onto the support that we have, and we've been able to today still use Facebook Live to be able to get the community events. Hey, we're shutting down Main Street for Home Fest. So like Home Fest, while we're recording, Home Fest is this week. So come Friday afternoon when we shut down Main Street for Home Fest, we'll be doing another one. Hey, come on down. This is where the detour's at. While also posting that text and that photo of where the detour is at, so people can visually see that, they can read it, and now they hear somebody say it to them. That's really important. People don't always, some people are learners through reading, some visual, some are listening. So if we can get as much information in different ways to people, it really is able to get out to people. and get out to our community members. And so, yeah, I'm the Facebook Live guy. I've been kind of known for it. But really, I was like the start. If you look out, like right after the Snowmageddon, Dickinson Fire Department was a big one. They started doing them, and their fire chief now does a lot in social media because they were seeing how many views we were getting, how much we were interacting, and how much we had videos and photos being posted on like KX, KFYR. Our updates, I work closely with the news media. They were calling me during storms and other things, trying to get information on what's happening in Watford because we have that connection. We're putting out those Facebook Lives. We have that ability to connect with community. And so that's been really big. And I think we've kind of been a leader at it. And now that we have this great studio and you, Vawnita, and your crew here and how they connect out with the community is, I want to say the baby steps to something bigger in our community. And if Facebook Live's one way we can connect, I'm going to keep doing it.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely. So Watford City Police Department Facebook page, if there's anybody out there who isn't following it.
We don't have an X. We don't have an Instagram. I'm a part-time PIO, public information officer here between my many hats I wear. That's how we communicate. We do a lot on the city website. We put a lot of information out on the city website as well. So, but our Facebook page has all our updates. Watford City Police Department on Facebook. So
perfect. Okay, two last things. If Officer Schatz is at the Rough Rider Center at a sporting event of the high school, or you're out setting out roadblocks for a parade coming up. Yeah. If parents are walking by, they've got the kids they see uniforms out, what should they say to their kids? Go say hi to the officer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Not probably, hey, there's a person that's going to take you if you don't behave.
Yeah, right.
That's what we get a lot, I feel like. But no, encourage them to come up and say hi. And, we often carry various things like stickers in our pocket to give to the kids or some way to interact with them when they come up. Or we're more than willing, if we have time, to run over to the car and show them any kind of cool, neat gadgets or let them sit in it, turn on the siren, what have you. Even like I said, when we're out, we try to engage people in the community. If we know that they're having a lemonade stand or whatever, we try to stop by and speak with those kids. So,
yeah,
perfectly.
That was my biggest pet peeve. It always has been is, you get parents that walk by, hey, he's going to take you to jail if you've been a
if
bad
you're not
guy.
good at
and
all.
I go, hey, Dad, I'm going to take him and we're going to go get ice cream. So you better go take him to ice cream. Like, I ain't going to take your kid to jail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build that positive I'm turning that. What the parent is trying to make into a negative interaction is into a positive interaction. We come back to this thing Jesse and I have been talking about, community first, right? Building those positive community connections. We can't we couldn't have what we have here and do the things with the foundation, the SRO program, our field training program, all these. We couldn't do it without the support of our community members. Right. Like if our community members did not buy into the idea of Facebook Lives, we wouldn't do them. They didn't buy into the idea that our police officers are real human beings, they're good people, and that when something bad happens, hey, we know the police department has our back. Or if something happens to one of us, we know the community has our back. We couldn't do any of this without the support of the community. And that's a big thing, is having that buy-in from our community members, from the youngest kids to our eldest people in our community. Having that buy-in at all ages is super important because it shows us the support. So when sometimes we have to use force on a call or something, we have to do something that we don't want to, right? We actually have to do our job. If we get questioned, we know that the community's going to have our back because they know that we're trained. They know that we know the law. We know how to apply it fairly. And we also are human beings. We're good people. And that if we had to use force or we had to do something, there was probably a reason for it. And so that's a big thing that I really want to I want to thank our community members. If you're watching and listening, thank you for supporting us. Because without the support of our community, we'd just be people with a gun that write tickets and take people that drink and drive to jail. That would be it. But we're more than that.
Sure.
And that's what we really, as an agency, really try to push.
So to serve and to protect, community first, come out to National Night Out.
Yes.
The first Tuesday of August, August 5th, from 4 to 8 at the Ag Expo,
Yep,
McKenzie
Ag
County Ag Expo, and come out and meet the rest of the force.
Absolutely.
And many other providers as well.
Absolutely. Law enforcement, fire, EMS, our towing companies. We have some of our recruiters coming out, social services, all those community aspect groups are all going to be there. So we want you guys to come out, free food, high voltage entertainment's going to be playing some music.
Cool.
We'll have music there. We'll have stuff for the kids. It'll be a great time. We'd love to see everybody there. If any companies are still wanting to help sponsor, we are taking sponsors. Just call down to the police department, ask for me, Officer Jeff, and we can get you set up and help us any way possible. But
Do you know the admin phone number off the top of your head?
842-2280, or you can call my direct line is 701-444-7535. That's my direct line to my office. Call and leave me a number again, 444-7535.
Perfect. Brock, what did we miss?
Got it all.
Awesome. For all the listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in, and plan to see you at National Night Out at the Ag Expo. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, and thank you for protecting and serving our community. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vawnita, for all you do.